Hey guys, sober this time. The issue with political discourse, if you jump into it at any point, is that each side is just reacting to what the other side did last. Nobody has consistent principles, at least not for long, because inevitably people are like, well, the other side has started doing this, we're gonna do it too. And then the other side is like, well, this side has started doing what we do. They're such hypocrites. And the cycle continues and spawns anew for every aspect you can imagine. One thing is clear to me, though, after recent events, which is that neither side is the free speech side. Jimmy Kimmel's show just got indefinitely suspended for comments he made about Charlie Kirk's assassination, where he called the shooter MAGA and blamed the right for finger pointing and trying to score political points. The main issue with that is that the shooter isn't MAGA. His own mother said that while the family is right wing, he was leaning further and further left over the past year and becoming more political, specifically being pro gay and supporting trans rights, which tracks with him also being confirmed to have a transgender romantic partner. None of that is inherently a problem, it's just to illustrate that Charlie Kirk wasn't shot by George Bush out here. So Jimmy Kimmel's show gets suspended indefinitely because one of the major broadcasting companies that operates 23 ABC affiliates, ABC being the channel the show is on, said they would just straight up pull the show over the, quote, offensive and insensitive comments. That's not really the right reason, but it is a common one where calls for cancellation from both the left and right are concerned. Your usual figures on the left now are hollowly bemoaning this attack on free speech as if it's not a guise they only wear when convenient. I'm old enough to remember when another show was canceled for spreading lies about a tragedy as the direct result of demands from the exact same people who have suddenly decided they're back to being free speech champions. Alex Jones was sued for over $1 billion for calling the Sandy Hook shooting a hoax, and all those people on the left were like, hell yeah, deserved consequences. I'm very glad you were losing your show over this, and I will now celebrate. But Jimmy Kimmel gets fired, and it's an attack on democracy, naturally. The right's argument here is that Kimmel's rhetoric, in addition to being false, is incitement against the right by blaming the shooting on them, and what is and isn't considered incitement is another fun Red Rover issue both sides love to send on over and embody whatever argument's currently convenient. The dictionary definition of incitement is to move to action, stir up, spur on, urge on. It's so loose that I feel like the only egregious examples of it you can really act on are when people are directly saying, hey, go kill these guys, or someone should really kill these guys. And that's basically the legal definition, as far as when it's considered a crime, which it has been since 1969, so no, prosecuting it is not an assault on free speech as long as it fits the bill. An example of direct, albeit hypothetical, incitement would be Twitch golden boy Hassan Piker saying, if you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott. Rick Scott being a Republican senator, or Destiny going on TV after the Charlie Kirk shooting saying he won't condemn it until Trump tells everyone to calm down, and then later on stream being like, we need conservatives to be scared of getting killed when they go to events, so they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature, and that the problem is they aren't afraid. So people should make them afraid? Gee, I wonder how they might go about doing that. I wonder if you've just blatantly laid out a singular, clear path towards achieving that goal. He got banned from Twitch after that shit, undeniably violating their policies against hateful conduct at the very least. The most popular target of incitement accusations is undoubtedly Donald Trump. The Atlantic has a list of 40 things he said that were supposedly incitement to violence, like, our enemies are desperate to stop us because they know we are the only ones who can stop them. That's incitement, huh? Yeah, bro, stop. Such a violent word. Other entries include metaphorical violent rhetoric, which needs to be taken on a case-by-case basis. Like, there's one where Trump says, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the country. But he's specifically talking about the auto manufacturing industry in Ohio. Like, if someone's talking about an industry potentially taking a hit, and they go, oh man, this would be murder for them, that's very obviously not incitement, that's just colorful language. On the other hand, you have him talking about the forced removal of a heckling protester at one of his rallies back in 2015 who was tackled and punched, and Trump being like, maybe he should have been roughed up. That absolutely advocates and encourages similar conduct, but at the very least he's not telling anyone to straight up kill people, except in this quote where he says, very simply, if you rob a store, you can fully expect to be shot as you were leaving that store. Shot. Frankly, I just straight up agree with this one. And it's not against a political side, so it's not advocating for political violence, just good old-fashioned frontier justice. I think more robbers should be shot. They might be big fans of reaching across the aisle, but they usually aren't up for an open debate. Personally, I don't think Jimmy Kimmel should have been fired, at least not for this. He should have been fired a long time ago for sucking, but this is a situation that could be easily resolved with an on-air correction in the next episode, and if he was unwilling to give it, then maybe you have something to talk about in regard to brazenly spouting false information, but then again, you'd have to fire literally every host of literally every news or talk show. Quick update here, now that it's the next day and more stuff has come out. Apparently, the FCC's broadcast license comes with a thing about how you're not allowed to knowingly lie about major crimes on public airwaves, and Kimmel himself has apparently stated that he would not apologize or issue a correction, so kind of dug your own grave here, man. People are reacting like, oh no, you can't make jokes about Dear Leader anymore. Kimmel, along with every late night host on planet Earth, has been making fun of Trump for almost 10 years with no issue. The problem was the false information about a major crime. Did Trump celebrate this firing and call for more of them? You better believe he did. Calling out Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon specifically, saying, do it, NBC. It's important to note that a tweet is not an executive order, and cheering for something to happen isn't the same as ensuring it, but time will tell if something does happen to them, and if so, what the root cause is, because if it's similar to Kimmel, where they're clearly violating their license, that's one thing, but if it actually becomes you can't make fun of Trump anymore, then that's obviously dystopian, and it's not worth the idyllic pleasure of Jimmy Fallon going away forever. But it's another case of political sides crying about the other side using their own tactics, since Obama back in the day personally used the FCC to get Roseanne's show canceled after her famous racial ambient joke tweets. Any example of one side doing something, you'll find past examples of the other side doing the same thing. It's clockwork, and the loudest grifters have the shortest memories. The ripples of Charlie Kirk's death continue to fan outward, and the discourse continues to evolve, and the consequences continue to occur. Many right-wingers are now getting dozens, if not hundreds, of people fired from jobs for publicly celebrating his death, which is indeed a form of cancel culture, but the right and left's brands of that have some noticeable distinctions as of late. When left-wingers try to cancel people, it's most commonly for resurfaced shit, right? That's kind of changing now as they want to shun everyone who's never said Free Palestine, but for a long time they would go look at joke tweets you did 10 years ago and say, you need to be fired now. The right has a decidedly more current approach, where they look at who is currently dancing on the grave of a victim of political terrorism, see that they are a grade school teacher, and come to the conclusion that it would probably be good if children weren't being taught math by Al-Qaeda, or they'll see a nurse that clearly does not value the lives of half the country and probably shouldn't be responsible for their health care as a result. At the end of the day, though, it's still the companies themselves that are choosing to fire the employees in the face of the outcry, and some of them are holding out and refusing, which is their prerogative. Would I ever call to try and get someone fired from a job? No. Can it sometimes be a good thing? Probably. There's some shit people with jobs out there, man. For the record, I still condemn doxing in the situations where that's occurring, but also a lot of these people's information is just there, and their bios and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with clicking links they've put there themselves. This is another problem, though, because the right is actively encouraging their base to abandon their principles if they've got them and just go all in, reciprocating anything the left has ever done in kind. They canceled us, let's cancel them. They only like free speech when it's convenient, let's only like free speech when it's convenient. It's devolving into a war where the rules of engagement, though often ignored anyway, are just being done away with entirely. And if you think you're on the cusp of being shot for your beliefs, understandably so, you might start to get a little desperate, and it's hard to sit here and be like, no guys, stay the course, when the course is getting people killed anyway. So it's a tough spot, granted, but just like, still be careful with that shit. Think long and hard about what your principles are and how important they are and what the cost of tossing them might be in the future. A popular question from some people is why Charlie Kirk's death has drawn so much public attention when there was a school shooting with a few student deaths elsewhere in the country on the same day that nobody's talking about. There's a really easy answer for that no one's going to like, but is fundamentally true. It's uninteresting. That shit's hardly even sensational now. There have been so many school shootings, and there are virtually no distinctions to even make between them, and that makes them boring. It's dystopian, but it's true. Charlie Kirk's shooting comes with loads of new implications. We're having all kinds of fresh discourse about it, and it's maintaining public interest at a level that dead kids just can't muster anymore. He's a public figure with a background that we can all pore over and dissect and decide whether we think he's a good person or not. That's a fun activity for the country to collectively engage in. It hits all the same notes of a new episode of a hit TV show. People get online and they want to discuss. They want to argue over what they like and don't like. They want to find people who are saying how they feel better than they can say it and agree with them. They want to like and retweet memes and just participate in the town square. I don't like that it's like that, but it verifiably is. I don't even know where the school shooting was. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. No new discourse has spawned from it. It's a regurgitation of the same meal everyone barfs every time it happens. Where's gun control? Where's mental health? Where's security? It's all the same. Any would-be school shooters out there thinking of trying to make a name for yourself, it's too late for you. Your window has closed. Nobody gives a shit. Kick a stool out from under you in your basement, you'll make the same impact. Leave the well-adjusted kids alone. Another aspect of the discourse is left-wingers celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, pointing the finger at right-wingers who made fun of George Floyd's death, and still continue to, even 5 years later, accusing them of being hypocritical for demanding that everyone on the left shed sodden tears for Charlie Kirk. Another of the major problems with political discourse is that probably 90% of humanity is incapable of tackling an opposing point of view without reframing it. It's a really hard thing to not do. I think most of us struggle with it if we're even aware of it. The average right-winger will say you should not celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk, and the average left-winger will look at chat and go, can you believe they want us to cry over this guy? Nobody said cry. There is an acre of real estate between don't celebrate and do mourn. That land will remain untapped by the majority of people. People make fun of the idea of, I like pancakes. Oh, so you hate waffles? Then they turn around and do this, which is literally just that, but in disguise. I scroll through my Twitter and almost every quote tweet clapback is arguing against their own version of what the original thing said. Both sides doing it. It's a universal thing that probably requires training to break out of. It's commonly referred to as straw manning, and it is by no means a new concept. In debates, people will do it to make what they're arguing against sound weaker, but with stuff like this, I feel like people straight up just don't even realize that they're making these edits in their head. They get so excited and triggered to respond that they don't finish processing what they just heard. I do this, probably more than I realize. There's probably some examples in this very video that I can't even recognize. It's something to watch out for when you see discourse. Look at someone's reply, then look at what they're replying to, then look at the reply again to see if they even know what conversation they're having. To get back to the actual point, though, Charlie Kirk is a comparable person to George Floyd to some people because those people hate Charlie Kirk. It's not that they love George Floyd. They're not like, oh, what a great person George Floyd was. But because they think Charlie Kirk is a Nazi, he is comparable to a drug-addicted criminal who held women at gunpoint and robbed them. There's a quote going around about how Charlie Kirk called George Floyd a scumbag, and some left-wingers are indignant about that, even citing it as a reason they don't feel sympathy for him, which is because even though he is categorically not a good person, he's still a martyr and a symbol of police brutality to them, regardless of how questionable the circumstances were. So don't call him a scumbag, even though he totally was one. If you're a drug addict who robs people, scumbag is among the tamest of names you've earned. Even if we granted the left every aspersion they've cast on Charlie Kirk and said, you're right, he is a racist Nazi, I'd still rather have him on the street than George Floyd. Are you kidding? Charlie Kirk would debate me. George Floyd would rob me. Gee, which one do I pick? So I personally think that comparison is apples to oranges. But that's all I got for this. If there's some crazy new update, then maybe I'll want to talk more about it, but I think I've exhausted my thoughts on anything political for now, and we'll go back to not paying attention. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Watch all my other videos and call my employer, and I'll see you guys next time.